Hey guys, welcome to another exciting episode of Happy Being Well. We have an exciting guest today, Tamisha Harriman. She is a certified radical forgiveness coach. And so she's going to be talking today about how we can achieve radical self love. So before we dive deep with Tamisha, here is a message from our sponsor. This podcast is sponsored by happybeingwell.com, your online store for creative, high quality leggings, 100% natural facial masks, natural essential oils, natural bath soaps, and much more self care goodies at happybeingwell.com. Use code podcast25 for 25% off all activewear leggings. So, Tamisha.
Hi, Rita. Hi,
Hi.
everyone.
Hi. Um, so what made you get into being a radical forgiveness coach?
Oh, such a great question. How did I manage to get into radical forgiveness? I have been studying a student of A Course in Miracles. Marianne Williamson was my spiritual teacher a very long time ago, and she does A Course in Miracles, and it's a teaching of forgiveness. It's a teaching that not to get, it's not a religious practice, right? It's just the following of Jesus, how Jesus really wants us to love ourselves deeply. And I found the Course in Miracles and Marianne Williamson when I was going through a psychotic break of just being emotionally suffering, right? I was just, nothing in my life was going right. It felt at the time as if I were at the bottom of the bottom. And I was having a psychotic break. I was a new mom, got pregnant in the Caribbean and moved to the United States. Have never been to the United States before. Moved to the United States with $200 because I just wanted another life. I wanted a different life for my baby. And so I came up with this great idea to move because I wanted the picket fence and the American dream. And I got over here and it wasn't anything like I imagined, right? My trauma just kicked in. I didn't even understand how trauma triggers worked. I moved because I wanted to get away from my family. And when I got here and I had my son, I mean, the emotional war just sort of it had really overtake everything, my body even, because I developed an autoimmune disease that 1% of Black women in the world ever get. And I needed something. I was going through radiation, and I remember like feeling like all I can do is just surrender. And and the Course in Miracles teach about forgiveness. I got a hold of the Course in Miracles and I wanted more. When I started really learning about triggers and how I had caused my son his own trauma because I was parenting from my own open wounds, it was hard for me to forgive myself. It was hard for me to say, oh my gosh, I forgive myself. Like saying that word, like it wasn't working for me because I still had a lot of guilt. I still had a lot of shame for things that have happened in my past and things that I was, doing at the time because I didn't know how to have sort of control with my emotions. So I wanted something to really help me. And that's really why I started studying and studying forgiveness, and then got into radical forgiveness because I needed to do the process, go through the entire process of finding my innocence, right? Reconnecting with my innocence and finding the divine alignment in whatever happened in my past and leaving the past there. And when Radical Forgiveness is a program that is run by Colin Tippin, who passed away a couple of years now, but it's a program where it's not just a read book. Like you actually put yourself through the process of forgiveness, through the process of owning your feelings, developing emotional freedom. So that's really how I got into Radical Forgiveness. I'm sorry for the long answer.
Yeah, that's okay. No, that's a great story. So so how did you overcome your traumas and being triggered? Was it
Yeah, so I don't think that we really ever get over, right, our trauma. I feel like we just kind of thrive through them. I feel like, our thoughts, these negative thoughts, they still come, they still try to revisit, right? But it's developing tools that we can really implement when they try to revisit, and we can put a stop to really embodying them, right? So we can acknowledge them, we can stop to think, and then we can respond. A lot of times, especially for me, I didn't know that there were a technique or tools or anything that I can use to create emotional peace or mental peace with my triggers and with my traumas. Because what I was doing was just feeling and reacting, right? There wasn't a time where I paused or I stopped. Where I grew up to, we don't really talk about all that stuff. We don't really talk about emotions. As a child, I just dealt with, even now in my country, people are not really talking about trauma and triggers and all this stuff. So we don't have a lot of knowledge of how to thrive through them. It either take us down, or by the grace of God, you go through it. So yeah, so I don't think that we really overcome. I don't think, I know for sure I don't overcome. My son, even today, still step on some of my triggers, but now I can stop my reaction and I can respond from a more healthy space, from a more loving space, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, we can choose how to respond once we become more conscious and expand our consciousness. Um, so and how does forgiveness play a role in, you know, having that inner peace and achieving that radical self-love?
Yeah, so forgiveness, radical forgiveness have like a six step, right? And so it starts with just telling your story, and at the end of it, you integrate the new story. But in the middle of the first step and the last step, there are ways that you can really uh tap into your emotion, tap into your feelings, and take control. It's a process of really taking control of what happened. Like no one did anything wrong to you in the spiritual world, right? um as our human experience, of course, like somebody hurt you, somebody did, yeah, you experienced you had a traumatic experience, right? But it's to seeing the divine alignment, and just seeing that things really do happen for a purpose. And a lot of times we say that only when it's sort of convenient to us, right? When it's a quote unquote happy time or something like that. But when it's a painful time, when it's a painful experience, it's really, really difficult to see that. And so radical forgiveness really help you um, see that purpose, see that what happened is where you are right now is because of what happened, right? And it's not so much of a bad thing in the spiritual world. It's one of those things that sort of happen so that we can experience an awakening to love, an awakening to love ourselves. And once we're like courageous enough to tap into that, I mean, that is a radical act of self-love, because in that time you get your innocence back, right? You get that, oh my gosh, like I have been blaming myself for everything, but had not this happened, then I would not have been where I am right now. I mean, had I not experienced abuse and trauma from my childhood, I would not have moved to the States. I would not have been where I am today. You know, I would not have been on this podcast with you. And so it's really understanding that and taking your time with it, because it can be really difficult to grab hold of that, to grab hold that things do happen for a reason. And that's how we find our purpose, through those hard times. So yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love the way that you said that. It seems almost as if, you know, sometimes I think that by default, we're always putting pressure on ourselves for things that we don't have. So we're going to always ruminate and not really be able to think clearly and enjoy what we do have, and really be able to see clearly the possibilities at our hands, by focusing and appreciating what we do have, as opposed to, I just feel like there's some kind of default programming there that may happen
mhm,
without being fully conscious, just due to our culture, of like social
yeah,
media, and everybody's kind of showcasing everything. And so some people who aren't as mindful go into that and start to like compare themselves, or there's some kind of covert message that people are taking in. And I think that, people can mentally torment themselves. So like,
yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think also that a lot of times we get ourselves into this state of depression, and I'm not disregarding anybody's mental health. I have had my own time and experience with depression, but what I realized too is that depression comes a lot from when we deprive ourselves from things that we have and we feel like we don't have it, right? So it can be like what you just said, looking at somebody else's things, looking at the things we see on social media as that is happiness. And we're not really united with our own happiness. We feel as if we're unhappy because we're trying to attain somebody else's dream, somebody else's desire of happiness. We see all these things on social media, like wellness now have become such a marketed thing. When we talk about wellness now, you see the fancy vacations, you see the big swimming pool or retreat, but some people just don't have probably the financial resources to enjoy these things, right? So when you're denying seeing that and you think, well, this is what I need to be happy, and you're telling yourself that you don't have that, and you're not even seeing what's in front of you, that is your own happiness, that can put us on a really mental um, suffering train, ride.
yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, and it's definitely all how you look at things too. And I think state of mind is most important, because I remember I was on one of those retreats. Um and I remember I was down on a retreat for 2 weeks in Tulum, and I remember I was actually really actually looking forward to coming back home. It's like, you know, I it was like I really just, there's nothing better than, kind of being home. It's like I think these things are very temporary. Like, I mean, yeah, it's all a frame of mind too. It's like, I could still do yoga in my, and I do. My home is like my ashram. I do yoga and my meditation regularly in my home. I live I basically have a wellness retreat in my home. But
That's
it's
beautiful.
nice to, when I came, but it's like, I don't know. I just remember feeling like it was. um, you know, I think it can be overrated, these routine
Yeah.
treatments,
Yeah,
I mean, once in a while I can, yeah, it's great, like, but it's not the end all be all because
mhm,
I live that lifestyle, in my everyday.
mhm.
And when I went to the retreat and they do these classes, it just really, first of all, it did seem superficial. It was designed for, no, I'm not saying all retreats are superficial. Some of them are really like, they really do have hardcore people, like they really are masters at yoga or at meditation or whatever. But this one just seemed like it was designed for the busy corporate executive to kind of come down there and just get some, you know, um, Q&A, like get some relaxation. And um, so, yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just remember I was like, it was nice to get some ocean time and
Mhm.
sun time, but I don't know. I think it's like wherever you go, there you are, right? So
Yeah. I was
if
just about to say that. Yeah.
yeah,
If you go
yeah, go
ahead.
on.
No, I'm saying if you don't value your peace of mind in the busy world, there's no possible way you're going to value it even more when you have that, quiet time. You know what I mean? Like you have to, it has to be really important to you right now in the drama stage. And like the retreats and stuff can be kind of like the reward of that. You know what I mean? Because then you're going to probably be on a retreat or on this wellness in this wellness experiences, just looking at the action thing, like looking at the yoga, not really focusing on quieting the mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes
Yeah. It's so much mental work. It's so, and it's, you know, it's it's creating that sort of cultivating that sort of mental peace. I think we all just want that. And I think people see this, this act of manifesting, right? Manifesting things as if these are things that would bring them happiness, would bring them that state of peace, but it doesn't last. It doesn't last at all. And a lot of people don't realize that we can manifest things through the ego as well. You know what I mean? We can manifest things out of confusion. We saw it played out in the American election election with Donald Trump. I mean, he manifested becoming a president through his ego, right? It was such an egocentric thing, but he still believed it, but never really experienced any sort of peace when you saw it, that his run-in was just not a peaceful experience. I'm sorry to bring politics in here. I don't even talk about politics,
Mhm.
but it's just to show that we can manifest things from our state of confusion, mental confusion as well. But we get to really enjoy when we start to manifest qualities, when we start to manifest qualities of peace, qualities of understanding, qualities of courage, qualities of gentleness. I feel like that is when we really get to really sink into happiness and have, not the attachment on things giving us happiness. We can feel happy with or without them, but everybody's, even myself sometimes, we chase the material forms because that what looks good, right? It seems easier than going within and doing the work from within, right? It seems easier for us to just get the thing because sometimes it's really painful to look within, knowing what people have experienced.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah, it's, our state of mind is everything. That's how we cultivate inner peace and self-love. And and even if you do go somewhere to like a retreat, um those it's great. You can actually come back, inspired to like
Mhm.
change your life, change your thinking. Um, and but most importantly, you do need to implement and be more conscious of the thoughts that we think and how we're feeling and how we're responding. Um, I'm sorry, how we're reacting in order to then choose a better way to respond. And by going through that process, you're getting to know yourself as well. So you're actually going to go through a process of self discovery as well,
Yeah.
instead of just living life by
On
auto,
autopilot,
yeah,
right?
autopilot. Yeah, because if our society is just so busy and there's so many pressures, people are so used to, and it's so easy to live from autopilot, right? You wake up, okay, it's coffee, you jump in the car, you go to work. Okay, the lunch break. You're just moving so fast. Meeting. Okay, these emails. Okay, grocery store at 5:30. Go in. I need and you don't even like really. You're just kind of really like robotic just
Yeah.
to get things done. And so when you're so used to living from a place like that, you know, you don't think about really what's going on with you and how you're in like what's the unconscious programming that's really the main driver of your human behavior, like what's how you make your decisions, because it's like our decisions really create the quality of our life, and they can, you could self-sabotage yourself or you can create opportunities for yourself, right?
Yeah, I'm doing a program now, the positive intelligence, that really helps you create that sort of pause moment in your day, and have a little moment where you can focus your mind on sensory. It can be just looking at something, but really stopping the busyness of your mind, the busyness of the thoughts, and focusing. And it's been really, really helpful um, for me to have this sort of interruption of it during my days. And one of the things that I do, I have like to practice that in every room of my house, on my cabinets, on my bathroom window, on my bathroom mirrors. I'm sorry, I have like post-its, like little affirmations or little pause notes or little I am willing affirmation. I am willing to stop, whatever it may be, so that everyone in my family, get to experience a sort of pause. Because I feel like once you read it, you just have that moment of pause, whether it's a 5-second pause, it really helps you interrupt those patterns, interrupt the business, interrupt the autopilot that our mind and our thinking is on all the time. And a part of teaching self-love, that's really what one of the things I talk about is being quiet, being slowing down. Slowing down is an act of self-love as well, because we get to when we slow down, we really get to experience love, right? We get to experience joy. We get to see the beauty that's there, right? We get to see the plant that we never seen in so long. We get to see the bird that's always been there, but we never get to pay attention to it. And so when we get to slow down and we can connect with nature, we can connect to others intentionally, it is also a deep act of self-love as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That was beautifully said. Um, so Tamisha, if somebody wants to learn more about you or ways to work with you, where can they go to find more about you?
So you can find me on Instagram. It's just my name. Everywhere is just my name, Tamisha Harriman. You can find me there. You can follow me. I usually share some really good tools and information about how to use radical love and radical forgiveness to really mend and heal our tough relationships. I'm all about relationships, whether it's relationships with our coworkers, our children, our family, our spouse. You know, it's something that I've worked on myself and continue to work on. And I just really want to share the benefit of that, my healing, with everyone. And so that they can really experience expansion and clarity and transformation in their relationship. A lot of times we hold on to the familiar, which is, oh, relationships are hard, right? But I've realized that relationships are hard based on what we're committed to, right? If we're committed to the drama and the manipulation and the old negative patterns, then relationships are hard. But if we are committed to loving deeply and to enjoying each other and having excitement with each other and understanding, all these things just open space and soothes out all the quote unquote hardness. And we really get to experience really deep loving relationships with everybody that we encounter. So find me on Instagram. You can also find me on online. My website is TamishaHarriman.com, in the process of finishing up, but my work is there. So yeah, and I'm also on Facebook, but I am more on Instagram and on my social media. I'm also having a radical self love free class coming up, where I'm sharing 6 simple tools to help us really love ourselves deeply through radical love. If you feel called, if you feel like that is something you need, just send me an email or so, and I can send you the information to log in. It's an interactive class, and we're going to have a good time, and we're going to just extend love to each other.
Awesome. So it's a free self-love masterclass. And when will that be held?
So that will be on March 26th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And what's your email?
My email is tamishaharriman@gmail.com.
Okay, great. So, and for all the audio listeners, her website will be posted on the podcast description, and her IG handle will be posted on the podcast description as well, along with her email to enroll in her free self-love masterclass, guys. And I highly recommend you enroll into her free self-love masterclass. We all could use more self-love in order to feel more peaceful, more joy, have clarity, and create high quality decisions that lead to a high quality life, or a more high quality life. And so it was a pleasure having you here, Tamisha. Thank you so much.
Rita, I am so honored and so grateful for you for inviting me here, and for the work that you do. It's so much needed. And yeah, I'm grateful for your light, and I'm grateful that you were able to see mine as well. So thank you for that.
Oh, absolutely, Tamisha. Absolutely. And again, thank you so much for being here and contributing your time and energy to this much needed, important topic of today's culture. So sending love, light, and blessings to everybody, and be happy being well, guys. Until next time.
Bye.